So, good morning to everyone. I am Dr. Murali Krishna. So, today I am presenting to that weathering. In the last class, we know about introduction of geology and different branches of in geology, and entire outline of the syllabus we learn about that in the earlier class. So, today I will give you the brief discussion about that weathering. So, before going to weathering, so what is a definition of weathering? So weathering means a mechanical disintegration of rocks. It is called weathering. So due to in the atmospheric agents. So for example, is atmospheric agents, it is called natural agents like wind or a river or different glacier process is evolved in the rock. So they will be disintegrated to that rock into the small pieces of species to very small pieces. It is called weathering. So weathering is, so see is the general definition of rocks as a breakdown of the rock into smaller and smaller pieces. So these are the diagrams will be shown to that very clearly. When the rock hilly stations, so in the downstream direction we have to see in the few rock pieces. So in the bottom of the rock we have to see in the small pieces, he called it as due to atmospheric agents. Either it is a river environment, this is called the river process, or it is a alien environment, so due to wind action the rocks will be cut down to that. So basically how many types of weathering is there? Basically we have to see two types of weathering. So one is that physical weathering, another one is that chemical weathering. So for any weathering, it's to that TS zones of rocks and landforms. So now coming to that, physical weathering. So physical weathering, it means by the application of mechanical forces is the directly in the rock masses. So that we call it as physical weathering. It is called as we have to call it as frost action and heating and cooling and different types of organisms. So these three activities while applying in the rock, so the rock will be considered as weathering. So now we discuss about that frost action. So frost actions means frost action or ice weathering. So for example, in that in the glacier environment. So in the glacier environments, the rocks will have having some cracks. In between the cracks, the water will be added into that. It will be due to atmospheric conditions. So for example, this is a one crack, the water will be added into this particular crack. So when water will be freezes, so it will be increase of 9% of volume will be increases. 9% of volume will be increases. So then only the cracks will be expanded to that. So that we call it as frost action. So frost actions means when the water will be added into the particular cracks, in that particular cracks water will be freezes, then water will be increase their volume up to 9%. It will be cause of frost action. And next, so these are the one of the example the frost actions. So while we constructed in that glacier environment or any ice different areas, while we constructed roads, after construction of sometimes the roads will be cracks will be evolved. So due to increase of sorry. So due to increase of volume of water, so this process we call it as frost action. So similar example we have to seen while we construction any road, so the volume increases, the what underground passes the water, it will be expand of the volume, so definitely the roads will be cracked. So now a second of that physical weathering, so that is called as heating and cooling. In that we know about that different types of monsoon times. So different types of monsoonal times is that whether it is the rock will be rainy or winter seasons. So definitely the rocks will be so not expand to that. So it will be compressed. So due to different atmospheric conditions. In that similar time, in that temperature will be increases, the rocks will be expand. So those processes will be continuously applied in those type of rocks, and definitely the rock will be weathered, whether it is heating, whether it is cooling. In the similar scenario we have to observe in the humans also. So for example in the human body, in that various time, either winter or any rainy season time, almost we have to contrast. So in the summer season again the heat will be applied, we will be expanded to that. So this is the one example for cooling and heating. The particular cooling and heating will be applied in that rock area, so definitely the rock will be weathering will be occur. So these are the one process, it is called heating and cooling. It is believed that a daily cyclic of temperature change weakness of the rocks, particularly in that hot and dry regions. In the similar way, the repeated expansion and contraction tend to develop of cracks. So for example, so this process will be continuously applied in that rock area, so definitely the rock will be cracks will be occurred. So this process we call it as heating and cooling. So animals are organisms. So these are the another physical activity. So we directly or indirectly we have to see. So different types of burrowing, it helps to that weathering process. So these are the organisms also key role. So rodents, the different types of animals, it will be indirectly access to that organisms of burrowing. It will be called another type of weathering. So this is also called it as one type of physical weathering. And a plant growth, very frequently we have to see while the construction areas, any areas after construction, any seeds will be identified in that any walls. We're always frequently seen in the wall areas, we have to construct one wall. In between the wall, anyone in any different types of boards will be kept into any type of seeds. That seeds will be growing. So definitely the wall will be cracks occurred. In that similar scenario, so different plant growths. See, this is one example. So before, so one seed kept into that any boards in that particular rock area, the plant will be growing on, the sufficient nutrients will be applied in that particular plant, so the plant is directly affected for weathering. So that we call it as plant growth. It will be directly affect of the rock area. So this is also one of the physical weathering. Now coming to that, the chemical weathering. So chemical weathering is a major agent, it is called water. So without water, any chemical reaction not applied in that rock area. So while we have seen to that in that chemical weathering is a breakdown of rock and minerals into the new substance. So when the water will be added in that particular rock area, it will be converted as a new compound. So for example, in that one of the example to that, in that limestone regions, so the water will be transported. So definitely the entire area will be weathered. It will be seen to that one of the example of Borra caves. So Borra caves is located in the Arku Valley. In the Arku Valley, the entire area is composed of limestone material. When you see in that particular cave area, the entire water will be added. They will be formed as cave format. These are the one example of while adding of water in that any weather agent in that limestone regions, the water will be, the material will be eroded. So due to water. So these are the one example for cave formations. So we already known to that water is that considered to the universal solvent. It dissolves of many things including rock. See, so the formation of so due to over time water can be break down to that even though hard like granite. So for example, in that geological terminology, a granite is a very hard rock. So granite is a very hard rock. In that hard rock also it will be weathered. The water will be stored in the particular time of period. It may be causes of chemical weathering. It will be change of their compounds. So that is that water is the main agent of, it is chemical weathering. It will be impact of chemical weathering. So what are the properties is that chemical weathering is the oxygen. Oxygen is called as oxidation. When you see in that in the rocky area, that okay. So what is the major agent of its causes of weathering, that is we call it as chemical weathering. If you seen into that oxidation is the process of the reaction of chemical reaction of which is a iron. So for example, if you seen in that area, this is a for example we call it as a different types of rocks, like we call it as a condylite. The condylite having some different types of iron minerals like pyroxene and amphiboles, including that different sillimanite minerals. It's having some contains having some iron. So due to atmospheric agents, it will be causes of chemical weathering, that is we call it as rusting. So rusting is a major process of weathering, while in that atmospheric agents like we can call it as oxidation. So for example, while the process of oxidation, the rocks will be used in the different types of colors. So one is the limonite or hematites, and different minerals will be used in the different colors. So while limonite will be used the yellow color, and that hematite and the goethite, the different minerals will be going to that red color. So this is the process will be happening about to that by oxidation process. So the best example of to that in the condylite. So we have to see in that in the Eastern Ghat group of rocks. So condylite is a frequently occurred. So while seen into that in the Visakhapatnam area. So in the basement rock is the condylite. While after condylite the rocks will be evolved to that. Condylites is the older rocks. The older rocks will be affected for due to oxidation process. It will be red colorization of entire area in the Visakhapatnam. These are the one example for oxidation in that live example of oxidation process in that Visakhapatnam region. And hydration. Hydration means water molecules combine to chemical with minerals produce new compounds. It means good example for gypsum. Gypsum, the chemical composition is the CaSO4 to H2O. So actually the gypsum earlier formation is that anhydride mineral, that is the CaSO4. When the water will be added, it will be converted as a gypsum material. So most of the hydration process, so adding of new water, it will be reaction to that, it will be compound new mineral components, that we call it as hydration. And carbonation or carbon dioxide. So in the CO2 is a mixing of water with CO2 is a mixing of water is a form as that carbonic acid. So for example, if you see into that most of the cave formations, limestone caves having some carbon dioxide material CaCO3, it will be added to that water. The entire cave will be, entire limestone material will be dissolved to that in that water. It will be formed as later on form as the caves. For example, in the Visakhapatnam area, Borra caves is that material which be composed of limestone material. In that limestone material having some water, it will be dissolved. The later on process, it will be formed as a caves. So that is an example of carbonation process. That is that limestone material will be dissolved. Example is that Borra caves. That is the process of carbonization. So what type of in the weathering point of view, so as an engineer is directly indirectly involved into that surface area. So that in that context, so whether it is the quarry nature, for example in the construction material, so it will be suitable for extraction of the stones. It will be used for the structural purpose and the decorative purpose. So this process, it will be weaken of the strength of the rocks or materials, so that we are able to know, so that is the rock or mineral weathered or not. So for the construction engineer is always necessary to see what extent area for a consideration of weathering. So either physical weathering, either chemical weathering. So chemical weathering. So what type of weathering is going on to that? So most of the civil engineering construction is the surface features only. So whether to understanding that particular area, it will be weathered or not, the construction design will be going on beautification purpose or the strengthen purpose with the acquiring of good knowledge for civil engineers. So this is about to that weathering. So every civil engineer knowing about to that weathering process and supplementary data, supplementary knowledge acquiring for that. So it will be a good construction related to the such as construction of dams or construction of dams and the construction of any buildings. It will be, this knowledge will be very useful. Thank you so much.